Okay, so what's this we've got here? This is the refuge being rebuilt.
The refuge being rebuilt, yeah. So we've got the 70-ton excavator in the background filling the refuge up. That was swapped out for the 50-ton machine on Monday morning, so yesterday. And we also mobilised the 70-ton crane. So what we're doing is just getting prepared really for the next set of spring tyres. So we're just obviously coming out of springs now, going back into neeps. And around about the 8th of April, we're going to start with the installation of the facing panels.
Okay.
So we're trialling out that bracket, which you can see over there on the back of the piles, and starting to fix the fixings on the tops for the facing panel connections. And then we'll start the facing panel installation on the 8th, like I say. So facing panels will be transported in a horizontal position across the beach by the 70-ton excavator. And then once they're tracked over to the crane, then the crane will lift the facing panels upright in a vertical position, and then they'll connect the facing panel to the piles by the kind of bracket and support system.
And they're going to be similar to the facing panels on the King's Waltz.
They are, yeah. They're slightly longer, so they're slightly heavier panel. The panel's around 14 tonnes. The panels on Marine Parade are about 11.5.
Okay.
So these panels are roughly 7 metres in length. Rather than being on an 11-degree kind of slant to the incline like the ones on Marine Parade are, these panels are installed vertically.
Right, okay.
So they're perpendicular to the foundation.
Ah, okay.
Partially because we're going slightly higher over this side.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll have a little wander through them, yeah.
Brilliant, thank you.
Probably go around the beach if you want.
Yeah. It's not very often the tide's out enough to go down here, is it, I guess?
Not, well, in the springs mainly. So we have about eight or 9 days worth of pretty good access through here in the spring tides. I mean, a large chunk of the work which we've been doing you can't actually see,
no,
because it's obviously hidden by the sand. So we've been doing all of the foundation in the front and also the support to the rear of the piles, which you'll be able to see a little bit at the moment.
You don't get how big those piles are until you're stood down here.
I know.
That's incredible. That's the thing, is though, even with the new camera in place, and they're not going to see what's going on this side, so this is really helpful.
Yeah. So what we've got is the piles which you can see with the J slot still on the front of up there. That's part of Section C works. So we did actually install an extra 42 piles from what our contracted works were for DEF, just because the wave walker was here and we were utilising that piece of plant rather than remobilise it to site. So everything which you can see which has been burnt off has been filled with concrete inside now.
Okay. And
then what we do is we drill and fix kind of a post bracket onto the top of it, and then we support the facing panel from the top of the bracket. So the guys at the moment, we've got three machines working. We've got the 70-ton filling at the refuge, we've got the 14-ton excavator which is doing what we call milling. So essentially what they do is they dig a hole into we call it competent rock, which is the foundation, and the hole is roughly about 1.5 to 2 metres deep into the rock, just to allow for kind of coastal erosion over its 120-year design life. So when we pour the concrete, we over pour the concrete by 100 mil and then mill the concrete back down. What happens is as we excavate the hole and pour the concrete into it, the concrete mixes with some of the material remaining in the hole. So we treat it almost as like a defective bit of material which we mill back off. So we've got the guys over there with the dust suppression for where the milling operation has been carried out, just to kind of limit the amount of dust which is generated as the milling works progress, which is what the fire hydrant and the hose you can see over there is doing. All of this concrete which you can see down here, we class this as what's called pour one, and you can see some kind of timber cutouts which are inside each pile, or every other pile. And what that is the bottom tie for the facing panel. So that's what prevents the facing panel from pulling out at the bottom. So what we do is there's a coupler, which is the kind of circular section of bar you can see in the middle of the timber there. And we take the insert out and we connect the bar into there and then connect the facing panel on the bottom. And then you've got an intermediate tie, roughly about a third of the way up and then 2/3 of the way up, which are those kind of ties at the back of the panel you can see there. We've concreted so far 286 out of 286 of the piles, so we're 100% complete on that.
So this concrete here was what you've been doing for the past few weeks. I did do some filming down there the other day, but we couldn't really see what was going on.
That's it, yeah. So if we just step round here. So what you can see down here is what we've been working on. So the rear pour is pour one. That's with the tie bar in. the pour up to rock level then, which is that section that Steve is cutting at the moment.
Yeah.
That's pour 2. The reason why we're cutting the foundation is we over pour it slightly. We then score a line in 200-300 mil deep, and then break off the front so we can put the shutter up against the front of it.
Oh yeah.
So you see where the lads are working down there now. And what they're doing is forming the trough where the facing panel sits into.
Ah, right with you. Okay.
Which is what that bracket is there that hangs off. So everything that the guys are doing there has all been designed to fit around the tyres which are cast into pour 1. So the brackets here. So the arms which you can see on the back of the concrete over there, they're all, and all the shuttering work has all been designed so it hangs off that one tie, which is pretty. It's a pretty difficult design to achieve in well, design and the building of it in such a short tidal environment. So we're averaging around about 8 metres of trough per shift at the moment, and we've currently cast 40 out of 286 metres. The foundation, which you can see here, we're about 80% through with the pour 2, which is the one where you can see the saw cut line down here. And then pour 1, which is the pour at the rear, we're about 95% complete with that. So we've pretty much gone right the way from coastguards to colonnade breakwater.
Okay, amazing. Really good progress, isn't it?
Yeah. So what we're going to be commencing with on the 8th of April, the guys will come back in and we'll carry on working until Easter really, and then we're having a bit of an Easter break. So we're finishing between, our last shift is on Thursday and our first shift back is on Wednesday afternoon then. And then on Thursday we'll commence with the facing panel installation. So we'll be doing concrete pours and we'll be doing facing panel installation at the same time on both shifts. So we're roughly going to be aiming for about 3 facing panels on each shift, so 6 panels a day. So it'll probably take us around 3 or 4 spring tide periods to complete the whole facing panel operation once we do get going and get into a rhythm. The facing panels are slightly different to marine parade in joint wise as well. These have a grout sock which connect the 2 panels together.
I didn't think I'd walk on this beach again, Jack, so thank you. I did manage to get on here as you started the work to film a bit for the Dawlish history group, sort of the station before.
So this area here, the reason why we've only concreted roughly about 1 metre off the pile is this is where the foundation for the new lift shaft goes.
Ah, okay.
So what we've got to do is leave 4 concrete rings where we're going to pile down through into the rock for the foundation for the new lift shaft when it does arrive.
Ah, interesting.
But the lift shaft is part of the next phase, not part of this phase. I mean, you can see where we've poured concrete there, and it's washed out during some of the storms. So, I mean, the quicker we get out of the ground, really, the better. It's just a harsh environment to work into, and there's so many constraints.
The higher you go as well, the less chance you got getting disturbed by the tide as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
Brilliant.